Yorana, and welcome to FM Tahiti and our Tahiti save. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining me. In this episode, we're just going to do a quick summary of the season. Very first season in FM20 of the Tahiti database. We're just going to see what's happened, who's been promoted, who's been relegated, any key transfer stuff, any good awards won. There are some awards that haven't been given out, like the personal team awards and things like that, which I'll always mention later on, but they're not too key at this stage. But basically, here we are. We've got the Polynesian Island Premiership, and we already know what's kind of happened here. Huahine Islanders won on results between teams, not goal difference, but results between teams with 61 points. That sets a marker for where we need to be at next season, I think. We're a little bit off that with 54. So we did all right. A gradual kind of improvement. We were never, fighting for that title. At the other end of the scale here, Mayau got relegated relatively early on, and then Bora Bora have also been relegated. So this 14th spot here is normally a playoff spot, and it was also a relegation playoff spot here. Nothing not normal happened, but they lost the playoffs. If you look at the relegation playoff, they lost 3-1 to the Humpbacks. I'll read more about the Humpbacks in a little bit. Not only one of my favourite teams, but they've had a decent season. So Bora Bora are going down into the Championship, and the Humpbacks are going to be replacing them, which would be nice for us to see them. Oh, what am I doing? So I just keep clicking the wrong stuff, don't I? So we look at the league table for the Championship, so the division below us, the second tier. Hitiraa, Scum, have won the title at a relative canter, 77 points. Basically 14 points clear of the Humpbacks, who in turn were about 13 points clear of Madre de Dios in third place. It was not a tight title race really for that one. So Hitiraa and the Humpbacks are going up, and down at the bottom here we've got Tahiti, who are being relegated. So Tahiti, the islands that they're on, are kind of like a nature reserve. It's going to be a very quiet nature reserve as they go down a division. But they're going down a division because they lost in the relegation playoff. So to get relegated from the Championship into the Gold League underneath, then you have to go into the playoff. So the Jupiters, or the Ravave Jupiters, are being promoted and will take the place of Tahiti instead. So far, so normal. If we look at the league table for the Gold League, Jupiters have gone up. Can't be right. Oh, there we go. Positions are all wrong. Yeah, Jupiters have gone up, but they did so on what I assume is both goal difference and results against the team. So they were better than Noraruto. Terrace and Lagunas weren't too far off. Tutengegi Wings were also, well, they were actually quite far off, where they were 28 points, but Jupiters go up. There's some strong teams in there. And down at the bottom, Tahiti under 23s have been relegated. And if you go to the very final level, we've got the Development Silver League. So AS Chance, the kind of youth team, the academy team, have been promoted. Again, 21 points clear of second place. They had no real competition. The only other senior team in here currently is the Hanga Vines. At the bottom end, Hitiraa under 23s have been relegated, and they'll be relegated into the kind of lower division pot. And one of our new teams will be promoted. So one of the teams like Tiapu, there we go. So one of the teams like this, the Polynesian Lower League, might get relegated. I kind of hope it's them actually. I can't remember a lot of the other names now. But there are a few that might get promoted. We'll have a look at them when we find out, when we know. So that'll be the start of next season. We'll probably look at that. If you look at the cup competitions, then the Inter-Island Cup was won by the Skybrights, which we mentioned before. They're in the final against the Humpbacks. So the Humpbacks got a final appearance as well as getting promoted, which is pretty good for a championship side. The Super Cup hasn't been played because we didn't have any winners of the Inter-Island Cup or Premiership to look at before. The Windward Isle has been won by Mahisha 4-3 in extra time against Moorea. The Leeward Island, so the other side of the islands, has been won by Hitiraa, who have also been promoted, beating the Skybrights, which is quite impressive. It happens quite early in the season, so this is before Skybrights won the OCL. The Mutineer Pride was won by the Humpbacks, which we unfortunately didn't get to win, on penalties against San Pedro. So again, Humpbacks, 2 finals, 1 win and a promotion. The Youth Cup was won by Pepite's youth team. And then that's all of our domestic cups. The other ones we want to look at here are the Oceania Champions League. And this was won by the Sky Brights in the final against Wellington on extra time. If you look at all the groups as well, who else was in there? So Manue were in there, Sky Brights. So the qualification for this year was based on whoever was in the top 2 when the competition was generated, essentially. So it's the Sky Brights and Manue who got in there. Next season, it will be whoever was top 2. So it'll be Huahine and Manue who should be qualified for it. And likewise, Huahine and Manue should be qualified for the French Cup, which we'll also have a look at here, which we haven't mentioned earlier on. So if we look at the French Cup, I think it's round 7. Like this. Round 7, let's see. So Moria entered in round 7, and then I think, because it's the first season it ran, it also entered their under 23s. Which I can't see. Can't see them anywhere. I can only see Moria there. Oh, there they are. They're under 23s. So their under 23s actually got through to the next round, beating Paron and US Granville beat Moria properly. So we go to the 8th round. Let's see what happens. So the under 23s lost 2-1 against USL Dunkirk. So this is where you can make some money, potentially. So Sky Brights have won the OCL, but there's not much money in the OCL, and they're going to go to the Club World Championship, which has less money in it than it used to in previous versions. So the French Cup is where you can actually make a little bit of money, because I think, what are the rules? 8th round, you get 19,000, which, to be fair, that's just $5,000 shy of finishing 4th in the Premiership of what we got. 9th round gives you 45. So if you get to the 9th round, you've made enough. You've made about, it's 5. I don't know why I can't do the maths. You made just over 70 grand. 10th round, 11th, quarterfinals, big money all the way through to the final. It's going to be a while till we get there, I think. It's going to be a while. The winners qualify for the Euro Cup apart from, and this is a list of all the teams from the kind of French territories like French Polynesia. So Moria were ineligible, as were the under 23s. So we'll never get into Europe by playing this, but we will potentially stop someone else from getting into Europe. One thing I'm worried about in terms of how we play is the match squad must have no more than 4 non-EU players. So I'm worried that when we play this, potentially a lot of our team won't count. Be interesting. Interesting issue potentially for that one. It's one of the issues I might be tempted to change using an in-game editor if that happened. It wasn't something that came up on any of the other ones. But there we go with the main kind of competitions. If you look at things internationally, what we want to do, let's go to Tahiti. And let's see how they did schedule-wise. So, mainly friendlies, no big competitions, but we had the Atoll Championship right at the start. Last season it was won by the Bass Islands at a canter. Austral Islands really didn't do well. Tahiti should have won it, nowhere near. So this will be coming up again, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. Otherwise, internationally, not much has changed. There's some international competitions coming up that start the kind of World Cup qualification process, but we're not really there yet in terms of being able to play or manage an international side. They'll come in time. If we look back at the leagues again, just see what's going on competition-wise in terms of transfers. The biggest fees were kind of paid by us, so we actually paid out some money, 400, 210, £200. But we've got some interesting things here in terms of who's going where. So, for example, Kylian Casanova is a player I mentioned in the last episode, I think. It's a really good striker, really interested. I don't think he's going to come to us. And I was right, because he's been signed for free by Damac from Saudi Arabia. Bruno Navarro's gone to Belep Montdor, which is a New Caledonian side. But otherwise, the majority of the transfers are all pretty much within French Polynesia. Other than Jamie Curriton going to Wickham. So, no big money transfers yet, as it stands. In terms of kind of other kind of competitions and awards there, let's go down. Should I just put awards in? Will that let me see what's going on? So Manager of the Year for the Polynesian Manager of the Year overall, being won by Alexander Torre, who is the Tahiti Islands manager, and the Mopia manager and the Papeete manager got a kind of look in. I voted for him because I thought he wasn't going to win. That was my best chance to win, was voting for someone else. In terms of Rookie of the Year, so this is for the best kind of new young player, which most of the players will count for in this very first season. Our very own, and not really very own, Lenny Riviera won it. So he's on loan from AS Chance. We're going to have to try and buy him if we can. He doesn't look amazing, but he did play particularly well. 5 goals, 8 assists, 7.25. Full voting points for that one. Frank Vidal got second, which again, I'd be tempted to try and get him if we could play on the right for us. And then Lekau Tautuaki, who didn't actually play that many games. He was like kind of right wing backup, got 3rd place, which is a bit weird. If you look at Player of the Season, so this is for any kind of player, so overage can be included in this. We've got Paul Andre from Manue, who looks quite good, but he got 20 goals and 6 assists and a 7.65. Johan Tehoni, our Johan Tehoni, got 2nd place, so he's a point behind him, 17 goals, 7 assists. And then Killian Casanova has gone after Damac, has also got the kind of runner-up point there. Another thing to point out as well in terms of awards is Tavita. So Tavita, who we signed from the Jupiters around midway in the season, actually got the Gold Star. So you get a Gold Star and a Silver Star. The Gold Star is the best player from the Gold Developmental League, and the Silver Star is for the best player from the Silver Developmental League. Nice and simple. And even though he only played half a season in the Gold under Developmental League before we poached him, in 12 appearances he's got 11 goals, 5 assists, and that was enough to get him the Gold Star award. So he is a good player. He's looking good, 6'6", bit of a monster. He's doing the job for us. Got 15 goals in the league for us, and another 3 in the cup, and 29 overall. So he's doing well. It's well worth that £210 that we spent on him. So that's the kind of background. This will make more and more kind of sense as we go on. So as we get into division season 2, 3 and 4, some of these names will become more kind of common. They'll pop up a bit more, and we'll be in a position where we'll have a lot more of the kind of history and background going on to the actual team and the leagues. You'll really develop. It'll become quite rich, hopefully. I mean, in detail, not necessarily money. That's going to take a while. If we look at our performance there, in terms of club vision, we were getting an A+ because we expected just to survive, really. And now they've given me new contracts, which is good because I was worried that this wage budget thing was going to get me sacked. But they've added a few bits here. So they want us to play attacking football, which we do. High tempo pressing football, which we kind of do, and make the most set pieces, which we definitely do as well. So that works for us. No big changes. For the 5-year plan, they want to make sure we work within the wage budget, which we're not. They want us to sell players or sign players to sell for a profit, which we can't really do because no one's got any money, so we're not really being judged on that. What they wanted to do next season is finish in the top half, which I think we can do based on what we've got and what we've done so far. And then the season afterwards, they want us to win the Polynesian Island Premiership. So we've got to do well this coming season. So we've got a good platform. And then they just want us to carry on winning it forever. So they've gone from being kind of, let's become a yo-yo team or a mid-table team to, yeah, we've got a season's grace and now you need to win everything. Or the Premiership over and over again. Our wage budget next year is going to be 2,850. We're spending 3,768. We're going to have to get rid of a little bit of that. If we look at the finances generally, we took a bit of this is where the prize money kicked in, but we're still in debt. 40 grand in debt. Our committed wage spending with people leaving doesn't actually bring it down enough. I don't think we've got enough of a transfer budget to really make a dent in that. So financially, we're a little bit worried. There's not much else going on though, as far as we can see. Tavita and Johan Tehoni are now favoured personnel, which is good. Celestimo Vessi is still meant to be our player to keep an eye on. Things are looking alright. I'm not completely unhappy. It's a good season, really. If you look at things in terms of who we've got, Julian Larue never really played that much once Sarfaz got back. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe he's better, but we'll never know. So he's going to go. In terms of defence, let me put contracts on so you can see who is. Someone leaving already, anyway. So Halapua Tuafangaloka is leaving to go to Mohatani San Pedro. So he was an important player for us, actually, in terms of how much he did play. But he's going. We'll replace him with some youth players. Parmentier was really good. We want to see if we can get him back in. Olivia was good for cover. Might see if we can get him back in, but he's not anything that special. Might see if we get someone else in. And Lenny Riviera, we want to get back in. There are a few players who might go. In terms of cutting the kind of deadwood, there's not as much deadwood to cut as I normally would do because we're not really that well established. So if you look at contracts that are expiring, they're all loan ones plus. Oh no, I wasn't. It's not just all loan ones. It's got loan ones. They've got Celesi Funaki, who played but not much. Like in the end, like we could lose him and it would be okay. Sahoni Tahi really didn't play much. He's a resolute kind of player. He looks okay, but he really didn't make a mark, but I might try and keep in. Halapua we know is going. Simi Tuafua is a defender who basically just didn't play, if I remember correctly. Well, no, 14 appearances in the end, but we can do better. And then Vilami, right-sided defender, we can get rid of. And again, he played a handful of games because we had a small squad. But if we lose all of these players, which we're losing at least one, that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, £500. £500 puts us almost, no, it puts us within our wage budget, just about. So that could get us back within our wage budget, but it doesn't give us much room to bring anyone in. So loans might be the way forward. So what I'm going to do now then is I've gone on. If there's anything you want to see in particular, let me know, because I save each season as its own file so I can go back and look at the stats and things like that. But if there's anything you want to see more of, let me know. In terms of kind of standout players from the ones we've got left, I think we're going to be building our team largely around players like Esaku, who came in, who did really well. Players like Olivetti, Tuafangaloka, who did well on the right, even though he doesn't look that good. Players like, where is he? The youth player Sinalau Vehekite. Looks pretty good, give him more game time. Tahoni and Tavita will also be kind of cornerstones. We just need to build up the rest of the squad. What we really need, more than anything, is a backup defensive midfielder, because we don't have one. We don't even have one in our under 23s from our youth intake. So we've got enough of a youth intake to actually flesh out the squad. But a defensive midfielder would be best. Plus, if we can get Riviera, Parmentier back in at the very least to keep the squad kind of stable. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at the kind of summer transfers now, move us on a little bit, and then the next episode will be in season 2, where we see what it is we've done, what it is we've changed, who got promoted from the lower divisions, who the new team is going to be, and we'll carry on. Fewer episodes probably in the next season now we've done the first bit, but thanks very much for following and watching so far, and I will see you all later.